Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter Likes Books. And I am back today for another reading of my book, The Before Now and After Then. I have to say, I have been filming a lot of videos, and I have been talking a lot on the phone, and I was going to say, as I'm sure most of you have. I don't know how many videos you've been filming, but I'm sure a lot of you have been talking on the phone and FaceTiming with people and stuff. And late last night, I started feeling like I was losing my voice. I'm completely healthy. I feel fine. I just feel like I'm losing my voice a little bit. So I don't know if I'm going to read just one chapter today and then maybe 3 tomorrow, or if I'll read 2 chapters today like I did. I'll just have to see how I'm feeling after the first chapter. So let's get into this. Chapter 13. Chapter 13, yeah. Alex gave us some money and told us to order pizza. I don't know what time I'll be back, but I will be back tonight, he said, raising his eyebrows. I could tell he was a little skeptical about leaving the two of us by ourselves, possibly thinking maybe his plan wasn't such a good idea after all. He turned and walked out. A few minutes later, we heard the engine of my car start up as he drove away. Why do you call him your uncle? Rusty asked. I don't know. We've just always referred to him as our uncle because he's our mom's best friend. I think my mom started it. We walked into the living room and sat down on the couch. What had seemed so comfortable at the bookstore now seemed incredibly awkward for some unknown reason. I flipped on the TV and The Breakfast Club was on again. I love this movie, Rusty said. I laughed. It was just on last night. We sat there in total silence for a few minutes, and I noticed he kept looking outside at the swimming pool. Do you want to go for a swim, I asked. Yeah, sure, I mean, we don't have to if you don't want to, he said. Yeah, I'm down for a swim. He looked over at me. Why is this so weird all of a sudden? I shook my head. I didn't know why it seemed weird, but it certainly did. Maybe it was just happening too fast. Honestly, I couldn't even explain what had made me feel the way I did about Rusty, but for some reason I was finding myself sitting next to my crush only days after meeting him. That had to mean something. Come here, he said. I stood up and walked over to where he was sitting on the couch. He put his hand on my thigh. For days I had wondered what this would be like, and now that it was happening I was so afraid, yet excited at the same time that I couldn't move. It felt right and wrong at the same time. Do you think it's because we just met, he asked. I don't know. I thought about how Sam and Jess had first met at a party, hooked up, and had been together for more than a year when he died. Do you think if we were straight it would be different? Like maybe we feel like there has to be more meaning to us getting together or falling in love or whatever? I see straight couples get together all the time, but we don't really have any gay role models for love or relationships to compare it to. Falling in love? I blushed. Something was becoming a habit. I blushed. Something that was becoming a habit. I didn't mean that I'm falling in. Rusty grabbed me by the back of my neck gently and started to kiss me. It was incredible. I closed my eyes and let his soft lips slide over mine, his tongue searching just inside my mouth. When he gently bit my lip, I realized this was not a first real kiss for Rusty like it was for me, and I pulled back. What? He said. Should I have waited? No, it's just... What? He looked confused. Have you been with a lot of guys? I asked. No, he said, sounding offended. You can tell me if you have. It won't make me think of you any differently. It won't make me think any differently of you. It's just that I haven't, so I feel stupid. I'm not very experienced. Rusty sighed. I've kissed one guy other than you, and we kissed a lot because we dated. But he was very religious, and it never went past that, I swear. You're a virgin? I asked, surprised. He nodded. You? I nodded back. Well, look at us, he laughed. I guess we have lots of exploring to do. And I did look at us. As he leaned in and began kissing me again, I could see a reflection in the glare of the patio door. One blonde boy and one dark-haired boy together, and it looked right. We kissed for a long time, rolling around on the couch with him on top of me most of the time. His hands went up under the back of my shirt as he pressed harder against me. Suddenly he rolled off of me, his hair messed up and his shirt twisted around his chest. Should we order pizza before it gets too late? I looked at him confused. Did I do something wrong? No, he panted, out of breath. Not at all. He looked down at his pants. I just think if we don't stop now, it might be too late. I laughed and looked down at my pants, finding the same result. Too late? Look, I don't want our first time to just be some quick hookup. I want more from you than that, Rusty said. I had seen these kinds of interactions in movies and never understood them, but I agreed. I want more from you. I want more from you than that too, I said, not wanting the extent of our getting to know each other to end in some quick pornographic exploration followed by Rusty leaving for the night and my never hearing from him again. Let's order the pizza, I said, standing up. Rusty only ate cheese pizza and I didn't like anything didn't like anything else on it, so we ordered a large cheese pizza with extra cheese. After it came, we ate in the living room and watched the end of The Breakfast Club. The ending of this movie always makes me so sad, Rusty said. It's just so real. I know, it's like they all get so close, but at school on Monday, you know they won't have that same connection or even be friends anymore, I said, thinking. You don't think it would be like that with us, do you? Or you don't think it will be like that with us, do you? He shot me a look like I was being stupid. Wasn't I the one who talked to you first? Yeah, I know. I just don't want to know. I just don't want to not know you now that I do know you, if that makes sense. Rusty walked in the kitchen and rinsed off his plate. I've had to move around so many schools that I'm kind of used to that by now. Why do you move so much? Because of my sister, he explained. She has this rare kidney disease. Kids almost never get it, but for some reason she did. She's been on dialysis forever. We moved around a lot because my mom is constantly trying to find the best doctors to help her. We moved to Indianapolis because of Riley Children's Hospital, he said, sipping his Dr. Pepper. Where did you live before, I asked. Boston. They have a great children's hospital there, too. But then they sent us here because of a specialist, he paused. I hated Boston. I could sense his mind going back to whatever made him hate Boston. Where's your dad, I asked. In Venezuela. We moved here when I was 10 because of my mom's work. My brother and sister were 2 and 3 at the time. My parents were already divorced, so it probably wouldn't have mattered. How often do you see him? I wanted to know everything about Rusty, but I was afraid I was asking too many questions. I don't, he said. He's remarried and has another family. He doesn't help us much at all. I'm sorry. Well, don't be. It's been so long since I've talked to him that I don't even really care anymore. He finished his soda. How about that swim? I looked at my watch and noticed it was almost 11. Somehow the night had slipped away from us. Hold on a second. Do you want to borrow a swimsuit? Hell no, he said as he walked outside and ran down to the pool. When he got right to the edge, he took off his shirt and shorts and jumped in wearing only his white boxer shorts. I walked down after him and watched as he made waves in the pool. Suddenly, he pulled himself out and walked over to the diving board. He stood at the very back of the board, looking out over the crystal clear, rippling water. His wet body glistened in the moonlight, and something about him standing in his soaked boxer shorts with his hair slicked back away from his face made him seem less confident and more innocent. Rusty looked over at me, smiling, and then ran down to the length of the board and did a perfect flip into the pool. I quickly took off my clothes, down to my boxer shorts, and jumped in the pool after him. He came up behind me and turned me around, running his fingers through my hair. Your hair might just be curlier than mine, he said, pulling me towards him. He started to kiss me again, and I could taste the chlorine on his lips. I want to know everything about you. I want to know everything about you, too, I said. Do you think that's crazy, he asked. I mean, we just met. No, I feel like I've known you forever. We played around in the pool until we finally settled on the shallow end, bouncing around each other, asking each other questions, and telling each other things we had never told anyone before. Above us, the moon was full and had a hazy ring around it. Look, Rusty said, pointing to the moon. Legend says that a halo moon is a sign that horrible weather is on its way. There was not a cloud in the sky, but it's perfect outside. It doesn't look like rain at all. That's just what they say. I don't know if it's the truth. He pressed his body against me and kissed me for a long time before pulling away. Look, I want to mess around, but at the same time, I don't want to mess around. Do you know what I mean? I nodded slowly, unsure. Everything's been so perfect today, and I don't want to ruin it by going too fast, he said. Okay, I said, although I was a little disappointed. Don't just say okay if you don't really feel that way, or don't just say okay if you don't really feel that way. Honestly, I didn't know how I felt. I just knew what my body was telling me. I do and I don't, but I guess I never thought I'd be having a conversation before doing anything. He laughed. You're right. I guess we should just be natural about the whole thing and not think about it. If we had done what was natural, the messing around would have happened on the couch about 2 hours ago, I said. I just want to make sure it feels special. This feels special to me, but I'll wait. On one condition, I said. What? Rusty asked, looking confused. Next time, we definitely mess around. He smiled. Agreed. I don't feel like we've just met. I feel like we've known each other forever. Me too, he said. Maybe we've already been together in some previous life. Rusty kissed me again and then pulled me to the edge of the pool, holding me with my back against his chest. He pointed to the moon. If we're ever apart, just look up and remember that no matter the distance, we can just look up and we're both under the same moon. That's our moon. We stayed in the pool until our fingers pruned, and then we got out and put our clothes on just as Alex walked in. Still up, he said, or he asked, more accusatory than questioning. We had to wait for you so I could take Rusty home, I said. Oh, he said, tossing me the keys. Thanks for letting me borrow your car. Rusty, nice to meet you. I'm beat, off to bed for this old man. He turned and walked inside. I drove Rusty home with the top down on my new car, which Rusty thought was very cool. We got to a neighborhood close to the high school, and he told me which driveway to pull into. Is your family still up? No, he said. My mom is with my sister, Maya, at the hospital, and my grandma is watching my brother, Carlos. I'd love for you to come in. I'd have you come in, but then we would wake them up. Next time, though. He reached across the car and kissed me, letting his fingers run through my hair. Don't forget what you promised about next time, I said. Never. Rusty got out of the car and walked inside, waving once before he closed the front door behind him. Upstairs, a light turned on and I could see him moving in front of the open window. I smiled. When I got home, I realized I left my phone in my room all night. I had one message from Mom telling me she would be home in the morning, 11 texts from Cher wondering why I wasn't responding to her texts, and one text from Rusty. I'm lying in bed right now, staring out of my window up at our moon. What time is that? Chapter 14. I'm starting to lose my voice again, and my beard, which I trimmed again today, is starting to itch my nose. Chapter 14. I woke up one Sunday morning with my head filled with thoughts of Rusty. Looking over the clock, I realized it was mid-afternoon, 12:13 to be exact. I was a little surprised Mom had let me sleep in so late. Standing up, I walked to the window, stretching my neck. In the yard, looking over the lake, Mom and Alex were sitting on yoga mats. The distinct sound of new age music from the outside stereo chimed with simple turns of their bodies. I laughed to myself and sat down at my bed, picking up my phone, hoping I had a good morning message from Rusty. 3 texts from Rusty were waiting for me, all almost exactly 10 minutes apart, starting at 8:11 a.m. The first one said, "Please don't be mad, but I think we rushed things last night." My heart started to beat quickly. I read the second text. "Danny, you awake? Do you feel the same way? I like you so much and I don't want to ruin it." I wasn't sure what to think. I read the third text. Delete the first 2 texts. Last night was perfect. I smiled. I texted back, "I'm finally awake and don't ever scare me like that again. Last night was perfect." I waited 5 minutes, and when I didn't get a response, I decided to take a shower. After I got ready, I walked downstairs into the kitchen. Mom had put out a pitcher of orange juice and an assortment of fruit, but I was craving a cup of coffee. I went to the coffee maker and found she had already made a pot. After pouring myself a cup, I walked over to the couch. In my own haze, I almost didn't see Rusty sitting on my couch, but when I did, I stepped back, and half of the coffee spilled out onto the white wooden floor. "Surprised much?" he asked. "What are you doing here?" He stood up and walked over to me, giving me a kiss. When he didn't respond to my text, I got nervous that I scared you away or something because of how fast last night went. So I had my mom drop me off so I could talk to you. I hope that's okay. "Yeah, it's great," I said excitedly. "But in the future, I never get up at 8 on a Sunday." He laughed, following me into the kitchen. "It's cool. I got to hang out with your mom and Alex." "What?" I said nervously, imagining my mother asking him 50 questions. "She's super cool," he said. "Yeah, I guess." My phone buzzed on the counter. I put my coffee down and let the phone continue to buzz. "Aren't you going to answer it?" Rusty asked. He looked extremely cute again, wearing gray shorts and a black t-shirt, making his skin look exceptionally dark and smooth. I wanted to touch him again, but now that it was daytime, I was scared. "Your phone?" he asked, pointing to it. Cher left a voice message. I put it on speaker and played it. "Oh my God, Danny, where are you? I'm so worried because I texted you like 15 times last night and you never responded. Anyway, you will never believe what happened. Apparently, after we left on Friday night, Henry and Maude took this long walk and realized that they've always been in love, and so he broke up with me. Can you believe it? He broke up with me." She laughed. "Anyway, I'm over it. They deserve each other, and I have you anyway." Rusty looked over at me with wide eyes. "Let's get together today if you don't have any plans, or at least text me or call me so I know you're all right. Love you, love you, love you, my beautiful boy." "Who is that?" Rusty asked. "That's Cher. I met her this week at school. We've hung out a few times." "Her beautiful boy?" "Yeah, that's what she calls me," I laughed. She was really excited to have a gay friend. I explained to him everything about meeting Cher and her mother and her going out with Maude and Henry on Friday night. "I hope she's all right. I'm sure she's fine. I don't really think she liked him that much anyway," I said. We stood there looking at each other in silence. "So what do you want to do?" Rusty asked. "I don't care," I hesitated. "Do you have to go home?" "No. My mom just said to come home in time for dinner," he said. "Hey, I have an idea. How about we just drive around and then you can come over to my house for dinner?" I could feel my palms begin to sweat. "I'm not sure I'm ready to meet your family. What if your mom doesn't like me?" Rusty laughed. "Are you serious? She'll love you because I love you." And then he caught himself. "I mean, because I like you." I smiled. "Is she cool with you being gay?" I asked. Rusty took a deep breath. "She wasn't at first. She's Catholic and goes to church every Sunday and all that, so she was afraid I was going to hell. But something changed over time." "Has it been a long time?" "I was 13 when I came out," Rusty said. "Seriously?" "Yeah, I think I first knew I liked boys when I was like 7 or 8. By 13, I just didn't want to hide it anymore, at least not from my mom. She was devastated at first, but not anymore. My dating Justin, my ex, helped too, I think, because she always saw us together. It forced her to have to deal with it. It forced her to have to deal with it. I found myself growing a little jealous by this last statement about justice. I don't understand why parents have such a hard time with it. Not everyone has parents who have gay best friends, Danny. Parents have to come out too." I had never really thought of it that way. "Let me get my watch and keys and we can leave," I said, starting to walk upstairs when Rusty stopped me. "Can I see your room? You never showed me last night." I nodded and we walked upstairs. When we got to my room, I walked inside, but he didn't follow me. I turned around and saw a look of complete amazement on his face. This has to be the most depressing bedroom I have ever seen. There is nothing personal in here at all. I was embarrassed that he noticed. I'm planning on changing it. Good, because I'm getting sad just standing in here. He grabbed me by the waist and pushed me under the bed, kissing me. Remember what you said last night about our next time together? I stopped. Right now? He laughed. No, I'm just joking with you. But as his body shifted on top of me, I could tell he wasn't joking, and I started to get turned on too. I sat up. Can I ask you something? He straightened his shirt. Sure. Do you look at porn? I asked, nervously. Rusty laughed. Are you asking me if I jack off to porn? Yeah, I said. Sure, don't you? Yeah, but here's the thing, I said, not wanting to sound stupid. I want to do all those things with you, but I don't really know how because I've never done them before. Me neither. But can we please just let them happen instead of talking about them and how fast we're going and all that crap? My brother used to always talk about hooking up with girls and doing stuff with his girlfriend, and he never mentioned them talking about the finer details of sex or if it was happening too fast. It just happened. Rusty fell back on the bed. You're right. Maybe it's because my last boyfriend was so weird about it because he was so religious. And one more thing, I paused. I don't want to hear about him anymore. Rusty peered over at me, looping his finger into the band of my shorts. Fair enough. Are there any more rules? No more rules. I don't know what it is about you, but I think about you all the time. Even though we've only known each other for a total of 4 days. I feel like I've known you forever. And instead of doing things how other people do them, I want to create our own future together. I don't want any rules. I just want it to be us, I said. Is that all? Rusty sighed. Yes, I said, and the moon thing you texted me was really cute. Rusty pulled me on top of him when we started kissing again. I felt his hand go under my shirt and at my back before he pulled it off over my head. He then pulled his off and we were bare chest to chest. His skin felt so warm under me and I felt like I couldn't get enough of him. He stared at me and whispered, I really like you, Danny Goldstein. I kissed him and whispered back, I like you too, Rusty Gonzalez. A lot. A lot. He kissed me back, or kissed me again. No rules? No rules, I said, staring deep into his brown eyes. Are you sure, he asked. I'm sure. I think I'm falling in love with you, Rusty said, his lips quivering a little. We were so close, our noses touching as we talked. Me too, I said. We stayed there kissing for what seemed like forever until we heard the door downstairs. The door opened downstairs. Hello, Danny, where are you? Mom said. Oh shit, I exclaimed and quickly threw on a shirt before running downstairs with Rusty right behind me. Mom and Alex were in the kitchen, sweaty from yoga, pouring glasses of cucumber water. Hey guys, Mom said. Hey Mom, I said, nervously, out of breath. I think we might have come in just in time, Alex smiled, following Mom out into the patio. Mom looked confused and then just shook her head. Did Rusty tell you we met earlier? Yeah, I hope you didn't grill him with a bunch of questions. She walked over to Rusty and put her head on his shoulder. I think he's fantastic. So what are you boys going to do today? I shrugged. I don't know, just drive around and stuff. Oh, and Rusty asked me to his house for dinner tonight. Okay, just call me and let me know you're safe, Mom said. We walked outside and got into the car. Rusty noticed it had a tape player. I'm so in love with this car. I'm totally going to make you a mixed tape like back in the day. What would you call it, I asked. What? Mixed tape, get it? What would you call it, I asked. Rusty thought to himself for a minute. For the boy with the cool hair, he said, laughing. I smiled and started the car. Where should I go? I know this cool record store. Want to go? Sure, just give me directions as I drive. I've lived in Indianapolis all my life, but I still don't know my way around, I said. But first, I need coffee. At Starbucks, we each ordered venti cinnamon dolce lattes, and then he pointed me in the direction of the record store. Along the way, Rusty told me about Venezuela and what it had been like as a kid. He talked about living in a penthouse apartment in Caracas with his family and grandmother, about summer weekends spent on Margarita Island where they would stay in these little houses on the beach and eat grilled chicken and drink bottles of Malta. He told me he wanted to teach me the salsa and that maybe someday we could go to Venezuela together and he could show me everything he had known as a boy. And in the whole story about his childhood, the one thing that stood out to me the most was that Rusty hoped we had a someday together. So those are chapters 13 and 14, and I am about to lose my voice. So I will, next chapter is the record store, so get ready because that's a good one. Anyway, I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope you're staying healthy. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.